UPI transactions in the month of February crossed 8.2 lakh crore rupees. Slightly lower than what we saw in January, but then February is of course the shortest month of the year. The next big trigger for UPI is being seen as what the RBI governor recently announced. UPI transactions that will be enabled offline, UPI transactions that will be available on feature phones. Right now you need data connectivity, you can use UPI on smartphones. Is this a game changer? How big is this going to be for UPI, the digital landscape? What is it going to mean for digital India? That and more is what I am going to be discussing with Nalin Bansal of the NPCI. He's in charge of fintech there, as well as forging relationships and looking after key initiatives. Nalin Bansal, welcome to ET Now. Happy to have you here. It's a big moment when it comes to NPCI that built the UPI. Not just going to be on smartphones, it's going to have to be made available on feature phones as well. Why is this a game changer? How much can the UPI grow from here?
No, frankly, to be honest, Nayantara, this is a question that we ask ourselves every start of the year. Last year we set ourselves a target of about 40 billion transactions. We already achieved that, this goes to prove that something that we built, through the association of various banks, fintechs, RBI, the government. I think everybody has come together to make this a success, and which is why it's seen such great adoption and spectacular growth. However, all said and done, all this growth, while is doubling, almost doubling every year, had been limited to people having smartphones only, right? People who are wanting to make payments need to have a UPI app. And that left out a large segment of population which was not transacting on mobile phones, which are smartphones. And a good 60-70% users in the country are still on feature phones. So I think this was some time in making. There've been a lot of deliberations. Again, this came from the industry. RBI ran a cohort on offline payments. A lot of ideas came through that cohort, and as a result of that, we were able to launch something what we call as UPI123 and UPI Lite. These are two new features that we are launching now, which allows us to even reach out to the marginalized segments of the society who are possibly not using any smartphone, and they can use this on a feature phone. So for us, I think this is going to bring the next 300-400 million consumers on UPI, and hopefully would set us well for our next target of about billion a day transactions in the next 3 to 5 years.
That's a very, very big target, isn't it? But tell me something, have you gone live? It's been some time now, about a fortnight, I think, since the RBI governor made this announcement. Are you ready to go live? When are you going to go live?
This is something that we have just released in the market. I think the ecosystem adoption is slowly picking up. Most of the banks have lined up, to get certified, to get onboarded. We've already done some pilots on UPI123, which is where you can call up using a feature phone and make those payments. We are now looking to scale. So already there was a launch we did with BPCL, where you can now, the Ujjwala beneficiaries can actually, which are mostly women, and that's very interesting that most of these women do not have a smartphone, and they can now call up just an IVR number and book their. They can make their payments. They can book their gas using the same IVR, and then they're done with it. Most of the time, they could only book, and the payment would be left for somebody who's who's financially making those decisions in the family. But now they can do it themselves. So this is already live. I think the scale is going to now. We will be able to grow the scale as we move along. In some form, I think this year we'll have to wait and watch how it goes by.
Okay, so can you give us an indication of when that is going to be made possible?
So like I said, see, the UPI 123, which is making payments using feature phone, is already live in the market. A lot of banks are now already onboarded. It's a question of how many more use cases you can build, the market can build over this platform. I think year 2022 is going to be the year for UPI 123, where more and more consumers are going to move and start doing feature phone-based payments. Um, um, the other feature that we have just launched, which is UPI Lite, which basically allows consumers to make payments without having to depend on network to a large extent, is something that we just launched. And I think the output and the first set of experience we will be only seeing in about 4 5 months from now. But I think most of 2022 we will see how UPI 123 takes shape and how it grows into the ecosystem. In fact, I also wanted to share that UPI 123, which is which is taking shape now, is now available in 5 to 6 methods. So you can do an IVR-based payment. You can actually do a payment over a SIM app. A lot of feature phones have these SIM apps, and therefore you can use one of those simple SIM apps to make those payments. You can even do a missed call payment. So you can give a missed call and somebody will call you back, and then you can close your transaction basis of that missed call payments. So I think all these use cases are going to be tried out. Something and the markets will adopt what consumers are going to be very comfortable with. So um, that's our lookout.
Okay, we of course have to see how popular UPI Lite will become. Think of it as a wallet, how it works. You can use it in the offline mode as well. So that's, according to you, the next big trigger. It'll of course work like a wallet, is what I said. Nalin, what also has fintechs worried? Consumers need to figure it out as well. And we keep asking the NPCI for updates. So what is the latest update? This is the year when, NPCI wants to cap the market share of each player. We've already seen how Google Pay, Phone Pay are right on top. Paytm is a distant number 3. How is all of this going to pan out? Are you expecting these companies to give up consumers to meet your norm of market share? What's the update?
See, I think the whole market share story possibly has gone into a bit of it's taken a different spin than what it was intended to. The whole objective of having market share was that the ecosystem should be able to grow together. There is no concentration risk on one or two players, and eventually there are more than one, more than many. There are few of them which are able to take the load forward and operate in the country. Um, for us, this is less about controlling a market player or less about restricting them in their growth. I think it's more about growing the pie, and it is about bringing more fintechs, and more startups into the ecosystem, who could build these new use cases and take them into and then sort of grow the pie, like you said, so that the overall market is so big for people to adopt. I mean, having said that, like I said, we are doing about 40 billion transactions now annually, and we're looking forward to almost a billion a day in the next 3 to 5 years. So there's enough for everybody to consume. We do not believe that it will come to a stage where we'll have to realign and look at restrictions. It is also important to notice that the UPI 123Pay that we've just launched and it is now taken shape in the market. All the players that are enabling that in the market today are first-time players. They are Indian startups, fintechs that have participated in the RBI cohort of offline payments, and I think those are the folks which are taking this forward into the next stage of growth of UPI. So we are very hopeful that the pie will grow, and it should not, it should allow space for everybody to operate.
Fair point. You want the ecosystem to grow. You don't want one monopolistic player. So then the corollary of that, the fact that you have yourself said that, the market share development has not been received the way it was intended. So NPCI will not penalize players if they cross the market cap threshold that you all have suggested of 30%?
Like I said, Nayantara, this is not something that we expect to happen. I think we're already seeing some growth happening in the upcoming players in the upcoming apps. Some of the big names are now. I think it was the timing of their effort and the intent. Some of the big names, some big players are now positioning themselves. They're doing those investments that were required to scale up the numbers. And then there are the new startups and fintechs which are looking at new use cases, be it on AutoPay, be it on UPI Lite, be it on UPI123, which we believe, like I said, should grow the pie. So we do not envisage a situation where anybody has to be penalized or anybody has to be restricted in their growth.
Okay, I think the markets would definitely want to know more from you. And who's going to be monitoring? Is it going to be done by this company itself, or will you folks step in?
In relation to the market share?
Yes.
I think this is a regular review process that we have, and then we have a mechanism of having a collective decision making. We do our steering committees, we do our working groups, and we constantly review with the players together. In fact, all the players together to look at how the growth is happening and how everybody's shaping up in their growth plans. So it's not just for NPCI alone. I think it is through our collective mechanism of review through our steering committees and our working groups that we closely monitor this progress. And I think things are looking very bright as of now. We are very hopeful that the situation should correct itself, and we should be able to divide the concentration risk, if at all there is.
Okay, fair point. I'll come back to feature phones, the big announcement by the RBI governor, and which you yourself have said is going to be the next trigger of growth along with UPI Lite. Now, what made UPI so popular and praised globally and become the envy of the likes of Sundar Pichai and Satya Nadella is its user experience, how frictionless it is, how seamless and easy it is. But that's on the smartphone. Can that user experience be replicated on the feature phone?
Understood. No, I think it's a great question, Nayantara. This is, the reason why smartphones are so popular because they are smart. They don't require the consumers to do too many things. Just a few touches and clicks, and you're able to do a whole lot of stuff on your smartphone. Of course, the feature phone requires the consumer to do certain actions and tasks. But I think what we've been able to do is that most of the consumers are very used to making phone calls. People who use feature phones, of course, they're very used to making phone calls, and their entire payment process is now mirroring a phone call. So all they have to do is call the merchant, call the phone number, enter their VPA, which is numeric, enter their amount, which is numeric, enter the PIN, which is numeric, and in 3 steps they are done. So for somebody who's used to making phone calls, it's going to be a very, very simple process. But that's not it. Like I said, there are fintechs and startups which which have also looked at other methods of doing feature phone-based payments. So you could do SIM apps. So there is a SIM app which is there on the feature phone. It will give you a very app-like experience. Or you could do a missed call where you call up a merchant and he calls you back, and then you enter your VPA PIN and amount. So just saying that there are all these methods available now on the feature phone. Certainly a lot better than what we had in our earlier avatar, which was USSD. And for somebody who's a feature phone user, this is going to be very easy and flawless, and very used to. It'll be very natural for him to be able to go through the process of making that payment.
can I ask you one question? The feature phone, UPI and feature phone, and the offline digital payments, UPI Lite. How should one see these two together? Are they at all related, or will UPI Lite only work on the smartphone?
Um, at this point in time, I think these are two different solutions that we brought to the market. The UPI feature phone, or UPI 123 as we call it, is already live and it is now picking up scale. The UPI Lite is something that we just released to the market. The ecosystem is going to get is going to take some time to adopt and maybe then take it to the market and get launched. The UPI Lite is essentially what we call as creating a wallet within your UPI app. So it is primarily focused at solving the consumer experience either on a smartphone or a feature phone, where I am usually a lot of transactions would happen where transactions would take time to respond, or transactions would take they would get lost, or they will take they will fail because there are multiple parties involved. UPI Lite solves that problem because you create a wallet on the cloud on device, which then allows you to make payments using that wallet. It's an extension of your account, but then it is residing on the cloud. You don't have to continuously go back to your bank account for authorization. Your wallet will stand in for that. Uh, we believe that experience, the speed, the availability will improve significantly. And initially, we're looking at doing this on smartphones alone. And we'll see how the response is to look extending UPI Lite to other methods of UPI payments as well.
Now, with the NPCI doing this for feature phones, solving another problem where those offline can also make these payments, there is one question I want to ask you, Mr. Bansal, and with this importance that is being given, can the entrepreneurs, startups, founders, all of those that are tuning in, watching you today, assume that interchange fee of UPI, which is currently zero, will continue as you build the base, as you go to the feature phones, as you go offline?
Yeah, I think this has been a bit of a pain point and a request from the market that the transactional economics of UPI is not favorable for ecosystem to adopt and grow. But to be honest, UPI is beyond just transactions. The amount of financial inclusion, the know-how, the information about the users, the purchase patterns, and the behavior that UPI apps, the banks, the fintechs are able to extract out of the UPI ecosystem is really the benefit and the value I think that everybody is now realizing. While there is no doubt beyond the fact that the economics has to be there, and I think we've been very vocal about it in most of our conversations, that certain amount of economics should be there on UPI transactions. The government has always been very supportive. I think they have supported it through an incentive scheme last year, and we continue to see that support even this year. We are hoping that this problem will resolve itself. It's a very small problem in the larger scheme of things. I think there's a lot more that UPI is delivering to the ecosystem than just pure transactional economics. And I think that's evident from the interest and the volumes of what startups are now starting to adopt UPI, both as accepting as merchants or even running and creating super apps based on UPI ecosystem. I think that's a definite trend. So I'm not seeing market stepping back or stepping away because, like I said, the value of what UPI brings and the consumer insight that it brings is far more than the transactional economics.
Oh, absolutely. The super apps are certainly relying on UPI, aren't they? Tatas want to do it. Everybody wants to be a part of the party as well. Maria's wishing you all and the NPCI all the very best. You've of course got overseas ambitions as well. So in the next interview with the NPCI, we hope to touch on that and a lot more. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us here. Thank you, Nayantara.